the ocean of creation, sometimes we can't reach the surface. Sometimes we drown, and sometimes we need a little help, a little company so that we can find ourselves surfaced onto a new day. Like they say, when alone, jellyfish can't swim in the night. Such is the show. Yoru is propelled by Kano. Kano eventually realizes her goals with them. Kimura can continue to find joy in music through the encouragement and shine she's been given. Kiwi can embrace who they are through those who have given them a place. By the end, they swam together, reaching that surface of doubt and imposter syndrome and acceptance. And it wasn't just within their journey that we could see them swim together. It was also in the waves of Masaru Yokoyama's music. Masaru Yokoyama has done a lot of music for anime, Chihaya Furu, Your Lie in April, and notably for me, Horimiya. But getting here wasn't without turbulence. His interest in music started in his youth, attending his aunt's piano class which grew to an interest in composing, and later making his own songs using electronic tools. But this current of interest swept him in a different direction, since he first went to a technical college for computer science, not music. It wasn't until encouraged by his aunt that he went back for music college, and even then he was still within an ebb and flow of uncertainty. He began to feel like he was left behind by his peers, saying that music college and the nature of art wasn't money, but this was what he wanted to do. So he forced his way through, sending music to as many places as he could, and eventually caught the eye of Yamada Katsuya, who worked on commercials. This was the stream he needed to get opportunities, and it was also in this time he met friends who worked with him. Whether it was the initial push from his aunt, the people who gave him a chance, or the friends he made, he couldn't swim alone. When listening to Yokoyama's music, I'm immediately drawn to his electronic style. I think of his work in Horimiya or Her Blue Sky, and the way I often describe his sound is dirty. Not that it sounds promiscuous or lowbrow, but that the electronic tint is really apparent. There is noise, reverberation, effects unique to electronic music, and it seems to be a vital part of his aesthetic. Perhaps a more appropriate analogy for the context of the show is marine snow, the falling organic material from the top of the ocean, providing food for fish at the bottom, but also cascading through layers of ocean like snow. It's a vital part of the oceanic ecosystem, a piece of the whole, creating something harmonious in the ocean together. Yokoyama talks about how composition to him is like a puzzle or programming. While he says he isn't the best at playing music or even composing, what he is good at is putting the pieces together. He sees different genres of music as equal. They're just different pieces of a puzzle that he can put together. It's all a universal language, and he's talked about that process of learning and emphasizing with cultures through music. He even describes this directly while working on Jellyfish, saying many instruments were recorded internationally, such as the strings in Italy, and how that creates a unique blend once put together with sounds recorded in Japan. It's an expression of various countries, a sound that is produced together. That aspect is what I want to focus on, that I think is especially felt here with the context of the show and his methodology. His idea of composing is one of piecing together parts of a puzzle, whether those parts are from different music, different cultural ideas, or his own experiences. And likewise, the show is all about being together, putting together the different parts of the puzzle that is their friendship and their goals, swimming together because they can't do it alone, and the music knows that all too well. In the first episode, we get to see Kano and Yoru's chance meeting, which culminates in Kano sharing her music and her dream. It's an important moment for both characters. Kano was inspired by her art and invites Yoru. Kano can't do it by herself, she knows that, and so does Yoru. As she says at the end, jellyfish can't swim by themselves. They need the light of each other. And here, Kano is reaching for that light. The ensuing track reflects this. Right from the start, the track has two different sounds, an echoing reverberation and a soft piano. These are the first two pieces of the puzzle. At times, it sounds like they're competing, but both sounds progress together. The echoing waves aren't without the piano, and the piano isn't without the echoing waves. These two elements need each other to shine and form the melody, and before you know it, strings are added. But that piano is still there. And soon enough, those ringing echoes join as well. The instruments are being led by each other, inspired by each other as we go in and out of the song. And then, the sounds rush together, giving this triumphant, hopeful tinge. As if all the instruments are desperately moving ahead, rushing towards something, and they swell to a finish. At the height of its crescendo, the track overwhelms with every instrument. They don't give pause to each other, it's frantic, exciting, like the scene itself, and the wave of emotions felt from Yoru being swept by the glimmer of light she's been given by Kano. And likewise for Kano, finding a potential light in Yoru. It's a lot at once, but no instruments are left behind, and that's what matters. They're together. But togetherness doesn't have to be a force of will, rushing along in excitement. It can be quite mellow. Some of my favorite tracks from Jellyfish are exactly that, such as Seafloor Petal, which plays in many key emotional moments, often as the characters are in a state of loneliness or sadness. For example, episode 4, Kano wanders in consternation, reminiscing about her past, then a lone piano. It starts with long, drawn notes with a precise gentleness, which is a great way to reflect the introspection of the scene. And as the song comes alive, it's very contained. It's filled with a pattern of repeating notes. And the song's insistence in this pattern allows it to retain this sense of wallowing, as if the song is thinking about a topic and trying to find an answer. It feels lonely as the notes circle in on themselves. It's a cycle, and in this case, it's the cycle that Kano mentions about not having changed, not having fully moved on. But she isn't alone. Her friends are looking for her, and she knows she has people who are there for her. She's found people who can help her shine, and this is reflected because what's being played isn't just piano, but there's clear effects in the reverberation following the notes. It's almost hollow sounding, an emptiness to fill in the emptiness, but it's there, together. Even if the main synthesized piano notes still make up the melody and rhythm, and the additional effects aren't contributing in that way, it's still a part of the piece. The notes aren't completely alone, just like Kano. I think the insistence in these electronic effects in the somber soul piano does a lot in reflecting the light of company. The tone of the notes played is sad on its own. The repetition creates loneliness and introspection. But that isn't the entirety of this puzzle. Just like how Kano isn't completely alone, somewhere in that hollow feeling she may have is that shine. It's still there, found in the echoes supporting it all. And of course it isn't just in the single track where there's a prevalent usage of electronic sounds. Many of Jellyfish's tracks have these elements that to me are synonymous of Yokoyama's style. It's what I feel he's describing this soundtrack as having a crisp, modern sound, an electronic tint contrasted with the other instruments, creating a sea of emotion and unifying these widely different parts into a whole. I think of songs like 100 MPA, which plays in episode 6 when Ariel is talking about her mom's idol activities and how it gave her encouragement through her own loneliness. Here, those synthesized sounds are brought to the forefront as we start with prominent reverbs that are accompanied by flourishes of snares. It's a big part of the song overall, and gives the piece a very unique and distinct aesthetic. Individually, the loose notes, the slower rhythm and melody can feel quite melancholic. The echoes can give that off as well, but it's also a song that feels full and expressive because these sounds are placed in conjunction with each other. The initial echo we hear isn't just by itself, as it's played into with droplets of notes, and as the melody is played, that echo remains. Those distant snares act as a consistent bass line holding it all in place, and even in the latter half, the individual pieces are there. The echo, the loose notes, the sustained melody, the different electronic affects. It's a harmony in flux, fluctuating into a singular feeling only able to be made with all of these parts. Another song that utilizes the prevalence of electronic sounds is Melty Degrees. This plays in episode 9 when Yoru is talking to Kano's mom. It's a tense scene owing to the dramatic irony of this secret meeting and how it might hurt Kano, but the scene is actually quite uplifting for Yoru. Someone is saying her art inspired them, that she's worked hard, that she's made something great. The music matches that tone with an uplifting and cheery mood. It moves with a bouncy rhythm, and a lot of it is held together by the electronic sounds in the background. There's the prominent echoes that fill in as a constant blanket over the notes during the song's start. The main notes themselves are also a synthesized sound, but with that is the bass and snares keeping things together. Even as it progresses, that bass and snare never let up. And as the melody changes, you can still faintly hear the first part of the song resonating in the back. It's similar to the way Yoru feels, being uplifted by these sweet words, by the sweet and cherry melody, but underneath all of that, still in the background, the people who are there for her by the finale is the people who have gotten her here. The song and Yoru both move on with what they want to do, the song changing its melody multiple times, but that refrain remains in support, and Yoru accepts the offer. But her friends manage to still be there by the end as well, never truly left behind, still swimming in the same ocean. There's too much of a selection to go into specific detail, but I do want to highlight that this philosophy can apply to many of the stylistic tracks here. Pollution Salvage mixes violin with staccato piano racing ahead, blending in occasional drops of reverberation, before all parts come together. The melody and rhythm now acting as the bass line in the piano as the violin takes over. Remnants of the first part of the song are never truly lost as it moves forward, and the song highlights this by ending with every instrument. The reverbs, the piano, the violin, every piece of it together. Artist starts as an ominous track, letting long slurs of ringing serve as an expectation once the notes arrive. They're muted. We hear distant thuds in the back as the synthesizer kicks in, and that consistent melody remains all the way through. Everything is so quiet and precise that it feels like an artist putting things together in motion. It's a very contemplative piece, but even in its scarcity, it ends as the sum of its parts. That simple melody now accompanying that ringing, swimming through it till the end. It comes together only because it had each of its parts to shine. There's even simpler pieces like F and G, two notes next to each other on the staff and in the song as well. Played together with playful discretion, soft ringing joining them, and the lightness of the instrumentation is soft enough to let all of the other effects harmonize. This song is as simple as its title, but it works out because they're in unison. These pieces sit snugly within the simple refrain. The idea of using just those simple notes allows so much more to fill in the gaps, and at the same time, those effects and additions elevate those simple notes. Jellyfish's soundtrack, to me, is quite stylistic. These synthesized electronic effects, these modern ideas, are coupled with traditional instruments and sounds that blend together into a singular ocean. It's exactly as Yokoyama is with his history, but it's also a big part of the show. Different people in pursuit of art, together, with different ideas and goals, but still in the same ocean. What better soundtrack than one that so closely understands how important the parts of the whole are, how important it is that we can find the right ocean together, and that we aren't jellyfish who can't swim in the night. that was the end of the video. As you can see, I am in the middle of recording the outro live here, as I did in the last video. And if anybody was curious about how I get all of these standees to stand, you know, I just have random stuff making them all hold up together. Anyways, this was a long time coming. I've been wanting to make, well, several videos, just been caught up in a lot of stuff. If you haven't seen the YouTube community posts, then you may not know what I'm talking about. But I've been around, I'm still around, I'm not dead yet. So just been busy working on a whole bunch of stuff. And before I go and work on more things, one of the best ways to support is, of course, through the Patreon, with the link in the description below, with all the details there. It's always a huge help. And of course, I'm very appreciative to anybody who checks it out in general, but it is not a requirement. Of course, you can also just leave a comment, like the video, or just share the video if you liked it. Any form of support is always welcome. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully not taking forever.